Hi, this is a repeat section to with better voice basically. So let's focus on this. I'm not going to touch any of the code side for this particular small scenario where I thought I can help with CSS locators uh, to identify or locate the elements on these pages basically. The scenario here is go to amazon.co.uk, search for a string, verify the search results contain that particular string we gave here already. So in order to achieve that, we need obviously need the WebDriver instance and the search URL, uh, which is this basically, and the action, which is get URL. So that will be written in the code by yourself. And the search for this particular item is basically requiring us to locate the element for search box or search text field and the element for search button. Then we can click on this. So on the search field we will enter string, the action is here. On the button we will click, and finally we will wait for the next page to load and verify the first search results contains or has the keyword we searched for, which is MacBook Air, in the title. This is a very rough handwritten scenario. So let's go and achieve that just by using CSS locators. So I'm firing up the Chrome browser, going to amazon.co.uk, and I can see the page here. And that is the search bar. So when I press on it, there are some suggestions in the suggestions list box, and the button is there as well. So, so I want to let the Selenium WebDriver know this is the element you need to go and enter my keyword. So in order to do that, I need to make sure I have the locator for the Selenium to identify this element. This is covered. I mean, locating elements is covered in tons of YouTube videos, but I thought I can touch a small space that is not really covered by most of the videos. So this will be really useful, I think. So for this particular element, which is search box, I have uh, this chunk of HTML code basically. So that is an input tag. When I hover over that tag, you can see the search bar is highlighted as well. When I hover over a different tag, the appropriate element is highlighted as well. So this is an element which is a text field, and I'm sure there should be another input element which is a button here, and the button element has a class. I'm double clicking on the nav input, and I have nav fill. Okay, these are the uh, attributes we have. So in this ID for this particular input text box, looking really promising because IDs are supposed to be unique. So in order to find, I know you can right click and copy CSS path by default anyway. So keep it on one side. This is the syntax to find element by CSS selectors. So that's double dollar and parentheses, double quote. Within that, we paste the value of the ID, which an ID always a hash. Imagine ID is always a number in a database world or something, the unique primary ID or key. So imagine a number, so hash. So other one is always dot, which is for class. So this is an ID. If I'm using that is listing only one item in this list. If there are more, there will be more. So this guy, when I open the list and hover over that, so it's listing, highlighting that my required textbook. So I'm going to grab this particular locator value and paste it alongside this line. So I can, when I start coding, I will have everything here. I don't have to uh, go back to my browser again. So again, for this, I mean, you shouldn't use the double slash when it comes to coding. So just an identifier between these two. So on the search button, let's see what how we can do that. So our search button is, go back to the elements. You can have two browsers with the same page. So you don't have to switch between these. Keep one on the element, one on the console. You'll be fine. So in order to do that, Control N, Amazon, and F12 for developer mode or console. So on this page, I'm going to keep on the console. On the other one, I'm going to keep on this, on the element. So this is on the console, this is on the element. So that's even better. This is on the elements. Push all of these down, so I'll have more space to work. Cool. Here we have ID. We are in that div now. Cool. So this ID, I'm trying to see, this is a form. The whole thing is a form, and it has child elements. Second child contains the input type submit button. Okay, so in order to achieve that, we need the we need to find, okay, there's a form tag. Okay, let's use the form tag. And see how many are there. Three forms are there. So the first one is ours, but we can't always rely on first or last or nth child on this because they might change the order. So that's in order to find a particular or further narrowing down this search, I'm going to see, okay, I have a form. Do I have any other parameters for this form? Okay, it has a action class. Okay, use that class. It looks like bit promising. There's a class name. So for the class, it's not hashes for number I or ID, isn't it? So use that and see. It's bringing only one item. That is something I wanted to see. And I already have, uh, so in order to see, okay, navigate through these child elements of these forms. Okay, children. First one is the bit, shows all the categories. Second guy is the button. Okay. Third one is the text field. I need the button, but I don't want to rely on the index now because only because it can change. So class name, it has nav right. That's not ideal. And but I'm getting an idea now. The type is input. So for this particular form, I have, where am I now? Sorry, form, and then I have form with search bar, class name, and I have three child elements. So what I can do is to narrow down that, I'll press the up key and See, I have the child element as input and see what it does. It's not bringing anything. So there are no direct children for this um, form class, or they might be kept under. See, I'm leaving the space either side of the arrow bracket. Yeah, it's not there. So let me double check that. So I have a form and a class called navWrite. Okay, I think we can use this. Even if the class name changes, you can change. But I'm sure there are other ways as well. So this div is dot navWrite. I'm deleting the rest of it. So we have one div, that is the whole div itself. We are not quite there yet, though it's highlighting, but we need to narrow down to the button input type. Then only that will take the click. Okay, we are there, div, and we check the children of that. This is span, that's an input. So we, from this guy, we have a div. Yeah, we opened here, div. Remember that or write it down somewhere. And then for under the child nodes of that div, we have text and input. So how many divs we came through? Two divs. And finally an input tag. So let's put that in the syntax or selector. There might be so many other ways, but you knowing all the various approaches will help you narrowing down. Once you located it once, you can sit down and see how else I can locate in a very smaller string. Why am I putting two divs here? Because I have noted down I have two divs. Because unlike XPath, you can't jump the child nodes in CSS by using in XPath. You'll use double slash, so it will go through all the descendants. Not here. You need to go one by one, and it's not bringing anything. Okay, input, delete one. Yes, so I went too far into divs. So this is the guy I want. So I grab that CSS selector and paste it here to be consistent with the above selector. I put double quote around it. So we know the selectors when we clicked on that button after entering this string in this field. Now we need to wait for the page to load. That will be something down to the Selenium code, and we need to verify the search results. So I'm going to have to go to MacBook Air, MacBook Air. While it's loading, I'm going to do the same on the other page as well. It's going to be quite tricky. That means we are going to learn something here, because we have so many other ways to locate elements, not just CSS, but we are trying ourselves or limiting ourselves just down to CSS to achieve this. So we'll have a little bit of hands-on or different perspective of using CSS selectors. So how to use it without just right click and copy. Okay, this is the element. So I'm going to pick that particular element and see the code, HTML code that represents it. So that's here. And I'm just this is the first scratching, so I'm just looking around what else. So I'm going to zoom out on this page, so I will be able to see more items. Okay, this is the big div, and then few divs underneath that. Span, div. Oh yeah, yeah, still outside. Div. Yeah, this is falling down to the first results box. So this and directly first child of this. So let's grab this guy and grab the whole of the class name. This might not be the most robust selector because we are using some sort of style, the CDN or bootstrap kind of class names here, but you can always get what really emphasized here using CSS. So not about robust code, robust selectors. Using CSS is the key here. So dot v, that is for class name, and there are spaces here. That means as another class name, one element can have multiple class names. So eliminate all the spaces with the dot, or replace all of them with the dot and hit enter. Oh yes, we have only one item which is going directly to the whole of the container. So within that I have child element, children, yeah, here. First guy is first, so I can get the first one using the first, because the first one is going to be the top one anyway in the search results. So that's where it's supposed to be more that that's more appropriate way. Otherwise, I don't want to use the keyword I used because that's the keyword I'm going to validate against this text which is here. So I don't want to find a content text. This is not going to validate us. It's not going to be the right test. So I'm going to use nth child thing. But before that, I want to see where I am. So the code I just used is this. So I'm going to press the up key on the keyboard to bring the last command back. And so this is the parent element, parent div that contains all of the results. Yeah, we just seen. So put colon there, nth child, first child. Yeah, I'm just checking how it works. Oh yes, it didn't complain. It wrote one results, and oh yes, it's still in the outside, is still not in the inside. I'm going to see, because it's when I hover over, so you can see the second search results is also highlighted blue. So but all I wanted to see is the first row only. So that means I am not quite there. So I'm drilling down through the children nodes to see where I am or how many divs I still need to go. So I still need to go one. Uh, yeah, let me see if that's the case. So this children and child one div, that is a lot actually. That's a lot. So there's much harder. So let me see what is this going to do when I put two. There is nothing. So it is only one child. So 1 second. Yeah, where did I leave actually? Yes. Let me press the up key and enter in this window. Yeah, it didn't bring us anything. Not able to see it. Delete and put one. It has brought this, and that has SG row in is where I need to get. Guess. So I have. I'm just checking where I am. So because this is huge stack, stack of divs basically. As results list, as search results, as row. So these are the class names. So I want to see how far above I'm sitting. Class. Yes, I'm here basically. I'm still here. So that particular item has one child, the, the guy we are looking for. But no, there's a little bit of overlap here. So this is the class we wanted, div basically, and we are in the end child, which is this, and we need to go here. So one more div basically, and first child div, and this basically gave us error. So just I don't want to go through all of that listed, so I'm going to try one more div and see if that is giving me a clean thing to look. Yeah, this one brings 22. Okay, so that should be the number of rows here. So this one and this one, div data. So I'm actually trying to eliminate the numbers. So for that, so what I have just done is deleted that bit. So I came back to one more level above and put colon nth child within the bracket 1 and see where it's taken me to. Okay, I'm slightly hopeful. Okay, it's only highlighting one row. We are narrowing down. So, but in that row, we want to go to the section where the image, see, the image is there and the description and all price and everything here. So there should be two divs. So this is the whole div, and children uh, that's again same. There should be one div. One child node is one div. The second child node has text div text. So again we are going in the div of that child and children and see rush component. Oh dear. So there's a lot of divs on the divs. So we can't give up because this is what we have to do. So we have to go through that all to get the right area. So there is a div, but they will have duplicates in the other common areas. So this div is 0, and okay, now it's finally starting to deviate. So did you notice this one is within that big div? This one is highlighting a small narrow section above where the image of the MacBook and the description are below that. Now it's this is the section we want to go in. In that section, there is a section, a div for the image container, and just bring this down. So this is the guy for that. This is the guy. Okay, where we need to go to. Okay, almost there. Open that. So this one definitely has a bit of, so S0. Okay, I'm lost. Right. in the console. Yeah, okay, that's why I was lost. Cool. Okay, the command I gave was this, and I'm going to see how else I could narrow this down. There is one SG colon inner opening and seeing we are still in the big column, and I'm going to see and put one more div and see if that helps. So we are still there. You have seen earlier how many divs there were. So using that, we are still there because let's see, we are still there. Don't give up. If you did all of this yourself, then you would never forget this in your life. For CSS selectors. Ah, something, a light at the end of the tunnel. Right, we narrowed down up to here, so we needed the second guy, right? So here the nth child will help us. The first one is a thingy above, so the second one should be the one we want. So bring our selector we already used and put the colon nth dash child. Within the bracket, we are going to have the second child. Yeah, hit enter. We are there. Okay, now the journey begins here. Same. Sorry, come back in. Space, arrow space, div. I'm just checking where it's taking me. There are two divs. One is for the image, one is for the section. So we need the second child. So guess what what I'm going to do here? Bring it back on that div. This one has two child elements, child divs. The second one is what I am interested in, and child within the bracket two is the second one. Yeah, hit enter. It has given me one div, that is this guy. Okay, promising. Now I'm going to drill through this now and come back in. Hopefully don't need the other one now. I'm here, space div, space arrow, space div. I'm just checking where this is taking me. Yeah, it is still in the area. Do one more space div. There are four children for that guy. One is that, okay, zero. Other one contains price and all. Further down, some other things we are not focusing on. So the first element, first div, or first child has the title or whatever we were looking for. So on that, I'm putting colon nth child first. There are first child, last child, so many other syntax there for CSS. But nth child is what we are just using. But you need to sit down and spend your time to get your hands on. Okay, we are there now, and I'm going to try and see what else I can have with a div further down. So where is it going to take me? Okay, we are still there at the same level. That's a headache, isn't it? Div and see. Still at that level. Two elements. When I see that, I'm always seeing the light. So these one's for ratings. The other one is the first child is actually we are interested. Back in nth child one, enter. Yeah, within that child. Okay, without going all the way in the children, I'm just scratching, or if it has a div, otherwise it will always throw an error. That's my hope. So the first one, now I'm hovering over, is highlighting this bit where the sponsored is highlighted. So basically I would need the second one. So because that is taking us to, I'm not sure this will be a right syntax or something. I'm checking. Oh, it is a right syntax. Okay, so this is actually still there, and children are h2 and div h2, so h2 and div, h2 and div. So we are almost there. Oops, and h2. Yes, this is enough. If you want to narrow down up to the link, which is an a tag, is even better, I think. From here, yep, just one element, which is the guy we are after. So this, the whole thing is the CSS locator we have just made. So if we compare this to what the double quote around it, if we compare this to whatever that you might get from copy CSS path, you will almost have the same, but now you know how to write it yourself, because without this you can't call yourself that you know CSS, how to use CSS selectors, because in the industry this is a skill that you need. And don't stop there, there are so many other syntaxes you can use to select CSS selectors, use CSS selectors for Selenium tests. So Selenium, go and search basically. I've searched as well. So here locators for locators. There's one good article at the Source Labs. But what you have just done is not there on the internet. So what we covered is very, very important. But to have more or further knowledge around, or to fill all the knowledge gaps, in other words, go and search. My Wi-Fi is very bad at the moment, so I stop it there. Um, Let me see if it can come quickly. Something looks like coming through. No, hold on, don't go. This will be useful. Yeah, the Wi-Fi started to work after a while. So this is a list of search results or source labs. Yes, this particular one has a set of CSS selectors. So I copy that, not waiting for this web page, and paste it somewhere here. So make a note of it. sourcelabs.com, resources, articles, Selenium tips, Css selectors. Go and read it. But this is that's only talking about the basics of using those selecting syntaxes. But to get something like what we have just done, you need to sit down and do it with faith to achieve it. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye bye.